Voices of Today presents Australian Christmas Yarns, Volume 1 by Mary Grant Bruce, with introduction by Ian Bruce, narrated by Sarah Bacaller and Denis Daly.
Introduction by Ian Bruce. The Australian author Mary Grant Bruce was born in Sale, Victoria, in 1878. She was so bright that she had learned to read by the age of 3. She loved writing from the very beginning of her childhood. She had a long career in journalism, mainly in Melbourne, both before and after her first books were published. Mary's son Jonathan, who was always known as John, and who was my father, always maintained that Granny was a better short story writer than she was a novelist. About 300 of her short stories were published, many for children and others for adults. A very special group of these writings are the Christmas tales. They were all written before there was the internet, computers or television, and, in many cases, even before there was radio. I really like these stories, both for the strong positive messages that they contain, and especially for their distinctive Australian flavour and values. You can almost smell the eucalyptus leaves and hear the kookaburras laughing in the background. Many of the first newspaper readers of these yarns would have originally come from places where it snows at Christmas. But here, in Australia, it is usually hot, often dry, and sometimes there are drought and fires to contend with at Christmas time. If you are an Australian in one of those other places right now, you will know just how different that time of year can be. Here is a little bit of home just for you. Wherever you are, and whatever time of the year it is, my family and I hope that you really enjoy these stories.
A Gentleman by Accident. It was doubtless ill-advised of the burglar, in the first place, to select Christmas Eve for the exercise of his profession. Christmas Eve, of all nights in the year, the one least favourable for that unobtrusive privacy necessary for the most elementary forms of burgling. And this burglar was no novice in his art. He was indeed noted among his fraternity for a mingling of astuteness with a certain daring cunning that rendered him at once the envied of the profession and the despair of the police. Every member of the force who was fairly out of the chicken stage knew him, but no member had ever yet experienced the joy of investing his wrists with the insignia of capture. He played a lone hand as a rule, for he had a not unnatural distrust of others whose nerves were not as steady or whose resources as many and as swift as his own. And, as his operations were generally planned with consummate art and attention to detail, he had so far been enabled to laugh alike at householders and at the blue-garbed individuals who are popularly supposed to maintain law and order. Circumstances, and not the burglar's own inclination, had decreed that he should be on the warpath on this particular Christmas Eve, for he was in heart a man of peace, and, so far as it could be made consistent with his calling, good-will towards men. He had his own views of the fitness of things, and they included strict keeping of holidays. No indiscriminate burgling ever found favour in his sight. He liked to choose time, place, and occasion with equal judgment. He was, in truth, something of a virtuoso in his art, not by any means the kind of rough and ready housebreaker of melodrama, truculent alike in aspect, attire, and intention. To all outward seeming, he might have been either a churchwarden or a shop-walker, and his sobriquet, amongst his friends, Beauty Bill, was not unmerited. Indirectly, the burglar's little daughter was the cause of his excursion, since it was in romping with her that he slipped and sustained the sprained ankle which had kept him an unwilling prisoner in the house for several weeks. Little Nan had been considerably dismayed at the abrupt termination to the game.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?